With Nigeria heavily dependent on oil for its revenue generation, the oil-driven volatility is affecting government revenue generation, hence the need to diversify the economy for national growth and development. According to a report by the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, SNEPC, the poor performance of the economy in 2015 was the big challenge to policymakers, with economic growth weakened to 2.7%, which was considered the lowest or the slowest since 1991. With the dwindling government revenue occasioned by the sustained downturn in the price of crude oil in the international market, which has exposed the vulnerability of our monolithic economy to external shocks, there is a compelling need to diversify the economy. This, of course, requires a deliberate and concerted intervention to expand activities in underdeveloped sectors and to open new economic frontiers. Nigeria, for many years, was home to 37.1 billion barrels of proven oil reserves and 5.1 trillion cubic feet of natural gas earnings from export of crude oil, crude petroleum, and over the years provided the country with huge foreign exchange earnings and a major source of financing government expenditures. This has given the country the Dutch disease and near collapse of all sectors of the economy, including agricultural, manufacturing, mining, non-oil exports. We can go on and on, with the resultant consequences to the Nigerian economy. I have joining me now via Skype from Abuja to give more insights into our topic of conversation for today is the Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, Mr. Olusegun Awolowo. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Awolowo, and it's good to see you.
Nice to see you, Tolu. Thank you very much. Let me first congratulate you on the very good work TVC is doing, particularly your program on Nigerian business. It's very commendable.
All right, I must thank you so much, and it's really good to see you. Research shows that Nigeria will lose more than $100 million to cocoa and cashew exports in 2020 as the coronavirus pandemic continues to hit hard on non-oil exporting countries. Now, I know a lot of figures can come out aside from that. Now, take us through what might happen to Nigeria in all of this, particularly our export market.
Well, the story is the same. The story is the same. And this is what we've been saying since. We cannot continue to rely on oil as our only source of foreign exchange. You know, in the intro to the program, you had said a lot about the CBN, the BDCs, etc., etc. And it's obvious the quest and the struggle is for foreign exchange. Now, you're running an economy where 90% of your foreign exchange earnings are on oil. It is not sustainable. And that is what we found out. Like the question on cocoa, for example, we're estimating we're going to lose around $100 million in 2020 compared to 2019. Yeah, and that is the story all over for many of our products. You have a pandemic that has hit our highest buyers in the economy. So, of course, they're not buying. This is not the time they're eating chocolate so much anyway in Europe now. So that is the major problem with our economy. Find another source to earn foreign exchange.
Now, let's not look at efforts aimed at sustaining exports at the moment. We've seen recent partnerships. We've seen you always from FOB Logistics and also lately commissioning of British Airways cargo. Now, what does this portend for Africa's most populous nation? All of these moves you're making, even despite the COVID-19 pandemic.
Oh, yes. The most important thing is how to move our goods out of Nigeria, how to link them to foreign markets, how we can get our SMEs, MSMEs to start earning this elusive foreign exchange that is out there. And so that has been the challenge, and that's been why we developed what we call the Zero Oil Plan. And the Zero Oil Plan is simply saying that Nigeria must survive in a world economy in which she no longer sells oil. It sounds very ambitious, audacious to a point, but that is just what must happen, that we must grow our economy in such a way that we are no longer relying only on oil. So we identified some 22 strategic products. We have the high forex value products, where Nigeria will make significant foreign exchange. That's gold, petrochemicals, ammonia, fertilizer, iron ore, and manufactured products. Then we have the high economic impact products, that we will not make so much foreign exchange, but will create significant jobs and drive inclusion into the economy. Those are ginger, sesame, soybeans, hibiscus, cocoa, cashew, oilseeds, gum arabic, just to mention a few. So that's all along the line. And then we have our export of services, where we are now concentrating on how to get this foreign exchange directly into the Nigerian economy, from our export for music, creative industry, financial services, etc., etc. So that's what we were working on.
Now, the issues of processors is something that's very important here. Farmers, they talk about losing farm produce. And on the excuse of rejection of agro-allied products exported from Nigeria to other countries, now especially Europe and America. Now, what's being done to address this ugly trend? It is very worrisome.
Yes, but not so much. Not so much now. It was in the past. We are meeting standards now. We're working with the Ministry of Agric. We're going back to the farmers. A lot of them are being trained, because now we're letting them understand it's from the farm to the table. That's the economic model of if you want to export your goods, and they're getting aware of that now. We're working with NAFDAC, with the SON, Nigerian Quarantine Services. Everything is in sync. I mean, there is a committee which we put together. It's now been adopted as a federal government committee on zero rejects, so that Nigeria must not have rejects again in our goods and services. But we know many of these things are done, that some non-tariff barriers in trade that we have to go through. It takes longer, but all in all, it's even better for us to develop our safety standards in food, particularly for the economy.
Now let's now look at this report from the Bank of Industry, talking about the leather industry. Now, a lot has been said about Nigeria's leather industry. I've attended fairs with you, trainings with you, trying to encourage Nigerians to move more into this sector. And it says it can generate more than $700 million annually. That's with limited support, and has the capacity to also create more than 700,000 direct and indirect jobs. Now, what are you doing more? Tell us more about what you're doing to promote this industry, leather in focus now.
The leather industry is a very good one for Nigeria. But then again, many of these industries are good for Nigeria. But again, I say we are not producing enough. So the Zero Oil Plan is calling for increased production and productivity along all these sectors. In leather, for instance, we struggle. We're making some, I think, up to $3 billion on export of leather from our tanneries, in Kano, in Sokoto, etc. That's the main driver of our export of leather, so which is not too bad. We're supporting them with the export expansion grant, and some of them from there's a spillover. There's one particular company that is now established a sesame seed factory to process sesame oil. So it's good for us now. But what we're saying is that, look, it's time for the leather industry to know, it was this one of our leather exporters, Femi, World of Bags, she came up with the idea to have a leather seminar. So we had the first one, and I attended. And the second one, I said, no, it's not going to be this way, because many of the leather manufacturers, the SMEs, MSMEs doing bags, doing shoes and everything, the leather they're using are the rejects coming from Europe. Now, look at the irony. Nigeria is so full of ironies that for me it's just impossible. The leather goes out from Kano. It goes to Europe. The rejects that they can't use there, they send it back to Nigeria. We buy it. I said, this is crazy. Let the tanneries, let them know that we have a leather industry, particularly in Lagos, it's in Aba area, that we can link them. So for the first time, they attended the fair. And many of them were surprised that, oh, you're making shoes there, you're making bags there. Oh, this is the leather. This is the leather for you, because this is what all the big stores use in Europe and America. So that's the linkage. So now we're able to bring it back, and they can get their leather directly from Kano. And but it was sweet for the tanneries anyway to export directly. So we have to tell them, look, we're giving you this incentive. Give us leather for our manufacturers and our SMEs here in down south, so they can produce. And that's the two-legged way we're approaching everything. Because under the Nigerian Industrial Revolution plan, the plan is to move away from just export of raw materials, that we have to start processing. We need the jobs that this thing creates. So that's the attitude we're taking for most of our stuff. I'll tell you about cashew. It's the same two-legged approach we have. We tell them, okay, yes, you export the kernels, but no, we also want you to start processing so we can have our own cashew to export, processed cashew to export. And we're doing that now. We have semi-processed cashew going at about $500,000 every month out of Nigeria. And we're now working on the fully processed cashew that we can sell.
Sounds very good. Now, Mr. Olo, let's now, what more do you need? I'm aware of the zero oil plan, which I can see that zeal. I see how well you're moving at achieving that. But what more do you need to, to make us get to where we are supposed to be in a very good time?
Yes. First, I must let you know that, look, the productive base of our economy, our agriculture and industry. We need massive investments. The kind of investment you put in oil fields to prosper for oil. We need those kind of investments. Now, it's not going to yield results overnight. You must be aware of that. But look, these investments never fail. Like, okay, when I read 2 weeks ago, 140 billion naira Nigeria spent on our refineries, 6 refineries. They're not working. That's just the maintenance. 140 billion. If you take 10 billion in a rice plantation, take another 10 in cocoa plantation, take another 10 in sesame seed, you will always see results. You will always see results. Establish a tomato processing plant for that kind of money. You will see results because you start doing paste, you start doing so many things, and you will create jobs. So that is what we're saying about this zero oil economy. After all, oil only gives you about 7% of your GDP. Agric another 17%. What is driving your GDP is services. That's about 57%. But you are not earning foreign exchange from that part of your economy, which is the change you have to do, to drive it. And after presenting this to the federal government, everything, the National Economic Council set up a committee to drive the zero oil plan. And that's the National Committee on Export Promotion. It's chaired by the governor of Jigawa State. There's some governors and the ministries that are important to this as members, and also different MDAs. And we had our first virtual meeting just 2 weeks ago. We're going to have another technical session meeting where we're saying, okay, let's see how government can assist the states, because we're working with the states also on this one state, one product, that they identify at least one product that we can export out. Many states have many, as you must know. So that's what we are collating and working together. And we're getting the drive now. We're getting the push. We're getting the drive to make this all happen for Nigeria. I'm very optimistic that, because everybody knows really that we really have to diversify our economy. But I say the economy is already diversified, but you are not earning foreign exchange you need from it. So you have to look at that, because the cry now is, how do we earn foreign exchange? And when we can no longer sell oil. I don't want our story to be, I keep telling people, I don't want any NNPC story to be the Exxon story. If you know what I'm talking about, Exxon was suspended from the Dow Jones Exchange just some weeks ago. They had a debt of over $267 billion or something. They bet on oil failed. They started betting on gas. Meanwhile, the world is moving towards renewable energy, renewable batteries. So you have to be careful that
Indeed.
You don't want that story to be the NNPC story, and then you have an empty bread basket. So what happens to the economy?
It's a good way to leave it. Chief Executive Officer, Nigerian Export Promotion Council, thank you so much for your commendation. I'm going to take it back to my crew members so that they hear from you. Thank you so much. It's good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you.